Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're uncovering a bit of a secret about the English language. We usually think of nouns as static, kind of boring little words, just a person, a place, or a thing. But at the advanced level, it's a completely different story. Nouns aren't just static words, they are dynamic, shape-shifting tools that can literally transform your writing and how you construct your thoughts.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with beyond the single word, move into shape-shifting verbs and adjectives, explore nouns modifying other nouns, tackle complex compound pluralization rules, and finally, decode the plural-only nouns.
Section 1, Beyond the Single Word.
So if I asked you right now, what exactly is a noun? You'd probably fall back on what you learned in grade school, right? A person, a place, or a thing. A dog, a city, a teacher. But at the advanced level, that definition gets completely subverted. A noun doesn't have to be a single word at all. It can actually be an entire ecosystem of words, all working together to perform one job in a sentence. Take the classic sentence, "The quick brown fox with the bushy tail jumps over the lazy dog." This brilliantly illustrates the concept. When we break this down, the subject of the sentence isn't just the word fox. It's that entire chunk of text, the quick brown fox with the bushy tail. That whole string of words, complete with adjectives, articles, and a prepositional phrase, bundles together to act as a single noun phrase subject. It operates exactly like a single noun would. And it goes even further than phrases. Nouns can actually level up into full dependent clauses. These are called noun clauses, and they contain their very own subjects and verbs, usually starting with words like how, that, or what. Think about the sentence, "What he said surprised me." The entire clause, "what he said," is the noun subject of that sentence. Or if you say, "I'm thinking about what we should have for dinner," that entire "what we should have for dinner" clause is functioning simply as the object of the preposition about. It's kind of incredible once you start noticing these massive noun structures hiding in plain sight.
Section 2, Shape-shifting verbs and adjectives.
Now here's where things get really fun. Verbs can actually be stripped of their verb status to function entirely as nouns. They generally do this in two ways. First, by adding an ing to the end of a verb, you create a gerund. So in the sentence, "Swimming is excellent exercise," the word swimming isn't an action someone is currently doing. It's the concept of the activity itself. It's the noun subject. Second, by adding the word to in front of the base verb, you create an infinitive. Take "to travel is to live." To travel is a verb phrase functioning directly as a noun.
This brings us to a really powerful concept called nominalization. This is a shape-shifting superpower heavily utilized in academic, legal, and formal writing. Basically, nominalization is just the process of producing a noun from another part of speech, usually a verb or an adjective, by slapping a suffix onto the end of it. Let's look at how that plays out. You take a verb like decide, and it becomes decision. You take an adjective like happy, and it becomes happiness. Now, this is an incredibly useful tool for expressing abstract concepts, but there's a bit of a trap here. While transforming words is powerful, overusing nominalization can make your sentences dangerously dense and, honestly, exhausting to read. Notice the difference in tone. The implementation of the plan sounds rigid and bureaucratic, right? Compare that to the much punchier implementing the plan. So as a focused learner, your main takeaways here is to use nominalization deliberately, but not excessively. You want to keep your writing active.
Section 3, Nouns modifying other nouns. What's really fascinating here is the concept of a noun adjunct, which is sometimes called an attributive noun. This happens when you put two nouns side by side and the first noun essentially gives up its nounness to act exactly like an adjective, modifying the second noun. Think of chicken soup. Chicken is a noun, but here it's telling you what kind of soup it is. Or water bottle. Water is describing the bottle.
But here's where people tend to make mistakes. The golden rule for noun adjuncts is that they're almost always singular, even if they logically refer to a plural concept. It's a shoe store. Why? Because shoe is acting as an adjective here, and in English, adjectives don't have plural forms. So even though that store sells hundreds of shoes, it's grammatically incorrect to call it a shoe store. Same thing with a trouser press, it's never a trousers press.
Before we move on from this section, we've got to talk about appositives. An appositive is a noun or noun phrase that sits directly next to another noun to rename or describe it, typically set off by commas. For example, "My brother, the chief financial officer of the company, is coming to dinner." Here, the chief financial officer of the company is an appositive noun phrase modifying my brother. It's a highly efficient way to pack more information into a single sentence without having to write a whole new one. Like, my brother is coming to dinner. He is the chief financial officer.
Section 4. Complex compound pluralization rules.
So compound nouns consist of two or more words working together to mean one thing. But making them plural, that confuses a lot of native speakers. The secret is to hunt for the head noun. That's the core word giving the phrase its primary meaning. For hyphenated compounds, you pluralize that main noun. A mother-in-law is primarily a mother, so the plural is mothers-in-law, even if it sounds like a law firm. The exact same rule applies to spaced compounds. An attorney general is primarily an attorney, so we say attorneys general. But for solid single-word compounds like toothbrush, the structural integrity is already locked, so you generally just pluralize the very end. Toothbrushes.
Section 5. The plural-only nouns.
Let's talk about some linguistic rebels called pluralia tantum. These are nouns that exclusively exist in the plural form and inherently demand plural verbs. Interestingly, they frequently refer to tools or items of clothing that are made of two identical symmetrical parts.
Think of everyday items: scissors, trousers, glasses, tweezers, jeans, binoculars. You never put on a single trouser or look through a single binocular. Well, unless you're a pirate with a spyglass. The objects themselves imply a pair, and the English language has locked them into a perpetual plural state. There are also abstract words in this category too, like someone's belongings or their surroundings. Now, because they're always plural, they strictly dictate how you build your sentence. You must use a plural verb. My scissors are sharp. You can never ever say, my scissor is sharp. If you absolutely must refer to a singular tool in a grammatical way that takes a singular verb, you have to introduce a quantifier phrase like a pair of. So you can absolutely say a pair of scissors is on the desk because pair becomes the singular noun subject, and of scissors is just a prepositional phrase modifying it.
Well, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today. You've seen how nouns can span entire multi-word clauses, how they can absorb verbs to become gerunds and infinitives, how they modify each other as adjuncts, and how they completely break normal pluralization rules. So, here is my final question for you. Now that you understand the hidden mechanics of these grammatical shapeshifters, how are you going to wield these superpowers in your own writing? Whether it's tightening up a dense academic paper by reducing nominalizations or confidently pluralizing attorneys general in a professional email, you now have the tools to construct your thoughts with absolute precision. Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.